Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Champions League draw that happened today. Yes, if you've missed it, Manchester City drew Borussia Monchengladbach in the draw. A very, very good draw for us. I'm going to be going through my opinions on the draw. Obviously, I'm very happy with it. I think it's one of the best draws we could have got. The head-to-head between the clubs, what to expect, what's happened in the past. Obviously, this Man City team is very different to the one that played Monchengladbach in the past. And I'm sure the Monchengladbach team is very, very different to the one we played all those years ago. I'm also going to talk about key players to watch out for, as well as my predictions for the other games, as well as this one. Before we do get into today's video though, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. We're nearing the end of 2020. It's been a slow year for the channel, but next year we're hoping to go bigger and better. So yeah, help join the journey. But yeah, just subscribe for all Man City news, Man City watch longs, and when we get back to the stadiums, which shouldn't be too far away now, hopefully vlogs as well. Anyway, without further ado, let's get on into today's video. So, talking about my opinions on this draw, in my opinion, it was the best draw on offer. Mönchengladbach are no bad team by any stretch of the imagination. You do not get to the round of 16 of the Champions League if you are not a very good team. As Manchester United showed, it is not a bypasser to get through the groups, especially when you had a Mönchengladbach's group. They had a very, very difficult group. Inter Milan, who ended up coming bottom. They had Real Madrid, who for a little bit looked like they might get knocked out, and Shakhtar Donetsk, who got to the semi-finals of the Europa League last year. They're in the Europa League now as well. Yeah, for a little while, Mönchengladbach did look like they were going to top the group. Towards the end, they did start to fall off quite a lot. They did lose the last two games. They lost to Real Madrid and Inter Milan, which is by no stretch a bad result for them, but still, it shows that the points were earned early on. In terms of how Mönchengladbach play, they've lined up with a plethora of formations so far this season. They've started with a diamond, with a 4-1-2-1-2, similar to what Man United played against us on Saturday. They've also used a 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1, so difficult to predict how they'll play. I imagine they'll probably line up with the 4-2-3-1 as offers them a bit more defensive stability with those two defensive midfielders in front of the block of four defenders. That is how they lined up against the bigger teams in Real Madrid, and I think in the one game against Inter Milan, they also lined up like that. It is important to not underestimate Mönchengladbach. As much as I think it should be a fairly comfortable game, it's not going to be easy. Lyon showed that. Lyon came 7th in the league on last season, and they went knocked out the Champions League, so it just shows we've got to be on it, we've got to prove ourselves. This year is a big year for us. League's not gone great so far. Somehow we're still involved in a title challenge. If we win our game in hand, we're only 3 points off the top spot. We could narrow that down even further if Liverpool and Tottenham draw on Wednesday, but I think Champions League has definitely got to be one of our key priorities this year, if it hasn't been in other years. In terms of how Mönchengladbach are currently doing in this year's Bundesliga, they're currently like 8th in the league, 4 points off the top 4, so similarly to the Premier League, it is a very, very tight league. I think we lie 9th in the Premier League right now, so it just goes to show it's difficult to sort of judge teams off where they are in the league, but yeah, that is where they are if you're interested. In terms of the head-to-head between the two teams, since the Champions League began, we have played Mönchengladbach 4 times. We also played them many, many years ago in the 1970s in, I think, the UEFA Super Cup and the Cup Winners' Cup. I may be wrong there. But we played them twice before the Champions League. But in terms of the ones that are classed as relevant, the Champions League ones, we've won 3, drawn 1. The draw came away from home. One of the wins away from home was also very tight. If you remember, Joe Hart saved a penalty. And I think Aguero scored an injury time penalty to win us the game. We also had the game that got called off. I think it was the first ever game to get called off at the Etihad, obviously the second being West Ham last season. And then we beat them the next day, I think like 4-0. Kelechi Iheanacho had a brilliant game. But yeah, so on the whole, we do have them in the head-to-head. They have never beaten us in the Champions League. As I said, the games have always been very, very tight when we go to their ground. Whilst recording this video, I do not know the date of the game. But regardless, they're going to be in February and March. And if you look at our fixtures in February and March, which will be on the screen right now, they're very, very difficult games, not easy games at all. So I feel like it's definitely a benefit for City having an easier game than a harder game in this patch. Last year, personally, I was happy to see us get Madrid because I wanted a difficult game. But since there's not going to be, well, there is going to be some fans, hopefully, but there's not going to be many. The atmosphere is not going to be great regardless, so I think it's a benefit for us to just have the easiest game possible. And hopefully we can get the job done in the first leg. I mean, in the second leg, we can start to rest a few players. In terms of who to watch out for in this Mönchengladbach side, we all know Dennis Zakaria. There is actually going to be a video on him, I think, on Thursday, where I completely look into what kind of player he is and where he'd fit in the Man City team. Obviously, we have been linked with him quite heavily recently. I don't know how reliable those rumours are, but I will be looking into him to see whether I think he'd fit into the City team. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Another reason to subscribe and press the notification bell if you haven't already. But yeah, Zachary, a very decent player. We will see what he's about, hopefully against us. Hopefully he plays well, not too well, but just shows us what we could have. Seems like he could be on a very cheap deal as well. And the other key player for them would be player who started this Champions League season very well, played 6 times, had 5 starts, has got 5 goals in the competition, and these goals are coming against proper teams, not just the lower end teams of the Champions League. As I said, their group has been difficult, so to get 5 goals in 5 starts in the Champions League, I think shows he's a quality player. Anyway, now I'm going to move on to my predictions for the Champions League round of 16 fixtures. I won't be giving scores, but I'll be going with who I think is going to go through and talking a little about each game. Starting off with City, I'm going to back City to go through. As I said, I think it's the easiest draw we could have got. I'm hoping that we'll be going to Istanbul on the 29th of May, and hopefully I will be there for that. But yeah, I'm going to back us to win this game and hopefully send us to the quarterfinals, which will hopefully have 100% crowds. Fingers crossed. That would be brilliant. First 100% crowd being a Champions League quarterfinal game. I think it could be fairly similar to Schalke in 2018-19, where in the first game, the away leg, I can see it being a very tight game. I think we'll win it, but I think it's going to be close. But in the second game, I imagine we'll dominate. I think we'll beat them fairly comfortably. I think it could be a 4-0 or so job at home, assuming we sort out our scoring form. Obviously, these days, our goal scoring form has been woeful. Nowhere near the levels it's been in previous years, but we've still got a long way to sort it out. It's another 2 months until that sort of game happens, so hopefully by then we'll find our scoring boots. In the second game is Bayern Munich, the Champions League current holders, and they play Lazio, and I think this one's fairly comfortable. I can't see anyone saying Lazio to win this one. I think Bayern will fairly comfortably beat this Lazio side. Bayern, I think, once again will be favourites to the Champions League this year. I think City will be in contention. I think Liverpool obviously deserve to be talked about for potential winners, and I think I could see Juventus and Atleti also being potential candidates for this year's Champions League winners. But yeah, I have Bayern Munich to beat Lazio. Next, moving on, we have Atletico Madrid, and they'll be taking on Chelsea. Chelsea have got the short straw here. Atletico Madrid, in my opinion, were the team to avoid. I honestly wasn't that fussed who we got as long as we avoided Atleti. I didn't want Barca. I'd have taken Barca. I think Atletico Madrid are the worst team City could face. The way they play, as we saw against Liverpool last year, it's just frustrating to break down, and you've got to be on top goal scoring form to beat them. In La Liga this year, they have started off excellently. Madrid did beat them on the weekend, giving Atleti their first loss in, I think, 26 games, and their first loss of the season in the league. But yeah, Atleti are looking very good this year, and like I said, could definitely be candidates for the winners this year. And in my opinion, they will beat Chelsea. I think Chelsea, to go past Atletico Madrid, would be seriously impressive. I think the last time these two sides did face off, I think it was the Champions League semi-finals in 2013-14, was it? So yeah, it's been a very long time since they last faced off. The next game is Liverpool-Leipzig, and I think Liverpool will win this one. I think, like I said, they're going to be one of the favourites to win this year's competition. And I think it could be a very exciting game. Obviously, Leipzig have already beaten Manchester United in the Champions League this year. They lost 5-0 in the first game, 3-2 in the second game, knocking Manchester United out of the competition. Still feels great to say that. But I think this could be a really exciting game. I think the one problem with Leipzig is defensively they leak goals, they leave themselves too open. And against Liverpool, that will bite them in the backside. Liverpool will probably exploit them on the counter-attack. And yeah, I think Liverpool definitely will score a lot of goals. However, I think Leipzig have got the capability to score a lot of goals also, especially with Liverpool's leaky defence recently. With no Van Dijk, he will obviously miss this game. But yeah, I think Liverpool will win, although I think this could be one of the games of the round. Next up, I'm not going to speak too much about this one, Juventus versus Porto. I think it's pretty clear Juventus will beat Porto. Although we said that about Lyon last year, I just can't see Juventus failing to beat this Porto side. We played them in the group stages and it was pretty comfortable. I didn't see anything special from Porto, so I'd be surprised with Juventus, especially with Mr. Champions League in Cristiano Ronaldo. I'd be surprised if they failed to beat this Porto side. Next in the round of 16 is Bassett Psg. The last time they faced off was that historic game. The same night Manchester City drew 0-0 with Stoke. It was obviously the 6-1. And it was an incredible game. It was probably the last time Barcelona peaked as a football club. Barcelona probably go into this one as second favourites. I imagine PSG will go into it as favourites with how badly Barcelona are being run at the moment. Who knows whether Messi will still be there. He could be, genuinely could be a PSG player by that point, or a Manchester City player. He will go to one of the two, I think definitely in the summer, but it could potentially happen in January if Barcelona look to try and get some sort of financial gain from Messi. This tie could go either way. but I do actually see PSG edging this one. It feels so strange to say, but I honestly think Barcelona have fallen far enough that any team that they faced off, any team they could have been drawn against in this Champions League round of 16 tie, I would have had them as second favourites. Next on the list is Dortmund versus Sevilla. This one could be another interesting one. Two teams that aren't sort of European elite level, but both teams that on their day can cause issues. I would probably mark them quite similarly in level. Obviously, Dortmund recently sacked manager, I think it's Lucien Favre, after they lost 5-1 to Stuttgart. It seemed clear to me that they were missing Erling Haaland. Obviously, he may not still be a Dortmund player then. I imagine he still will be. I'd be very surprised if he goes before this summer, and I think he might even stay past this summer, to be honest. But Dortmund are really sort of bipolar with their performances. Sometimes they're brilliant to watch, sometimes they really are quite poor. And I think the way Dortmund turn up will depend on the result. I'm going to say Dortmund to win this one. However, this is probably the closest one of the ties so far. And in the final game, as we move on, we've got Madrid versus Atalanta. A lot of people will be having Madrid to win this one fairly comfortably. I think there could be a shock. I really wouldn't find it too surprising if Atalanta go and beat Madrid. I think they're very similar to the way that Ajax played in 18-19. And Madrid really don't look too good this year. They nearly got knocked out of the competition in the group stages, which would have been incredible. I do think Madrid will just about edge it, but Atalanta could definitely cause a surprise. Anyway, that is all for my predictions. For those of you wondering, also in the Europa League, that draw happened today. For those interested, I know certain people from Manchester will have been interested in that draw. In terms of Man United, they have drawn Dave Silva's Real Sociedad. Come on, Dave, do us proud. It'd be great to see Dave Silva put in another Old Trafford masterclass. We have seen plenty of them in his time. But yeah, it'd be lovely to see Sociedad beat United in that one. Anyway, that's all for me today. Thank you guys for watching. I'll be back again tomorrow at 7:45 for the West Brom live watch along, so make sure to stay tuned for that. And as I said at the start of the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and press the notification bell if you haven't already. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.